Hello and welcome back to yesterday's airlines and to Xin Long International. It has been about a month or so since I last did a video featuring the model airport. I just don't get enough time to get out here and play. The last time round we looked in detail at my new cargo terminal and hangars and fire stations and such, and this time round we're back to the passenger terminal because I want to focus on some of the new ground service equipment which I've picked up. At the same time that I picked up the cargo related equipment, I also got a load of other GSE from AvGeek Models to go with the passenger side of the airport. So in this video, the plan is to set up the airport, as you can see here, and take a look at how we can add in some of that ground service equipment and make it look a bit more realistic. Now, the airport is currently set up a little bit retro, but not too retro. Kind of around 2012, 2014-ish, actually, probably, because, as you can see, a couple of the China Easterns are wearing new livery and not the old cheat line scheme. But around that kind of 2014 mark where China Southern is still operating classic wide bodies like the 777-200, got their A380 still in service, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm aiming for with the aircraft setup here. But what we're going to do is we're going to get in, going to check out some of the new GSE that I've picked up from AvGeek Models and see how that can spruce up, anyone's model airport, really. Before we do that, don't forget, as always, to check out the channel here and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Chuck a like on the vid as well, always appreciated. And then also, AvGeek Models, they're sponsoring this video, and you can use the code yesterday10 for 10% off your order with AvGeek Models. They are making a really great range of equipment for your model airport, and only a small fraction of what they make is going to be featured here in this vid. But I've been buying AvGeek Model stuff for quite a long time, and I really like the work that Matt's been doing. So we're going to get in and check that out now. I'm going to start with a variety of different Airstairs that you can get from AvGeek Models. Now, I already did look at the wide body covered Airstairs previously in the cargo vid, but there are several other types of Airstairs that we've also got available to purchase, and they go really well with different types of aircraft at your airport. So we'll start off with the standard open top Airstairs. These are for narrow body aircraft, and I already had quite a lot of these because these had been my kind of default Airstairs for my airport. They're really easy to place and they look really good. China can get very wet, actually, so I'm not sure that they're necessarily the ideal platform for China, in which case these smaller covered Airstairs, like this one here, which are for the narrow body types, not for the wide bodies, those ones are perhaps more suitable for China's environment and fit my airport better. They got some nice detailing, basically got the cover over, you still got the stairs inside, and they look really good. I'll put that one up against the A321 there. Then, of course, we've got the larger wide-body version of that, which as I said, was in the previous video for the cargo terminal, but fits just as well alongside passenger aircraft as well. So I think we'll slot one of those up alongside this China Eastern A330 at the rear here. I mean, Airstairs are obviously very common at airports, even if they're serviced by jetways as mine is. So you do need quite a lot of these, and not always just on the aircraft, just hanging around around the gates. And in fact, something I probably need to build more space into on this airfield is room for GSE just to be. That's something I've got to think about, maybe change up. But there are some areas here, and there are always going to be large amounts of air bridges, jetways hanging around at any airport. Now, the next and the last type of stairs that we have here are actually these tiny little ones, which are perfect for your regional aircraft. And as you see, there's a China Southern ATR 72 sitting here at the airport, and this will fit very nicely up alongside her. And I guess if your airport is at all modern, and especially if it's American based, then you're going to have quite a large number of regional jets or small props, and you're going to have a need for these kind of smaller stairs to go alongside those aircraft, and I think these look really nice. It's actually really pleasing how good the ATR actually looks on this bigger layout here, even though she's a very small type. And I think these Airstairs, you know, they're an essential thing that you need if you've got a model airport, basically, to have a variety of different Airstair types. Next up, we got a couple of different types of service vehicle for your airfield. On the left, you can see that we've got the refueling hose trucks. So if you've got underground refueling at your airport, then you'll need some way to get that fuel from the underground tanks into the aircraft, and that's what these will provide here. And there's quite a lot of nice detail here on these little trucks with the hosing at the rear and a bit of tankage as well. Liking the look and the detail of these little trucks. The other type of truck we have here is for what comes out of human beings as opposed to what goes into the aircraft, and that is the toilet lavatory service trucks. So once again, nice little bit of detailing on these very small 3D printed little trucks for servicing the lavatories on your airport. So let's get a couple of these in position. I think usually they're under the wing kind of area when you've got these sort of tanks. And I guess that is where you would find the hose refueling trucks. Whereas the sanitation trucks, I believe, usually at the rear of the aircraft. You know, I'm not an expert on where ground service equipment actually sits around the aircraft. I perhaps should look into that a bit more and make my airport a bit more realistic in that regard. But again, if you've got aircraft at the gate at your airport, then they're going to be being serviced by quite a wide array of different vehicles. And so these trucks actually both quite different to the sort of GSC you often get, and yeah, both looking really nice. So slot a couple around your airfield here, one near the ATR, a couple near the A380. And again, if we move over to Terminal 1, where we've got a variety of Air China operations going on, including this A330, we can slot one of those refueling hose trucks underneath. Now, I've seen some more impressive versions of these vehicles, but the great thing about AvGeek Models GSC that I find is that it's cost effective. I can buy quite a lot of these. When you've got a large airport, you need that, and they're quite cheap. I've seen some really impressive ground service equipment made, which is hyper detailed, but obviously much more expensive. So the thing I really like about AvGeek Models is you've got a good level of detail for the price. And when you've got a big layout like I have here, and you really need a lot of ground service equipment, then AvGeek Models is fabulous for that sort of thing. Now, the next type of GSE, and this is the commonest type of ground service equipment that you see at any airport, and something which is really hard to acquire for your model in any kind of numbers, are just the little tugs and dolly baggage trucks and vehicles. So these ones you've got here are for non-containerized baggage. You've got the little trolleys afterwards with the where the bags go inside, and you've got the little sides on, and you've got three different types of tug to go with those. One that's a little more truck-like, and two that are a little more cart-like. Now, you can spend ages putting these on your airport, and I'm often tempted to kind of stick some of these down in position, because when you've got a large airfield like I have, then you can literally spend hours trying to put these kind of guys into position, and they're often very fiddly because they're so small. But nonetheless, essential for any model airport is a large number of these kind of tug and dolly trucks, so that it looks like there's actually plenty of activity going on and operations are underway. But they are a bit of a pain to fit. As you can see, they're so fiddly, especially when you're trying to record yourself at the same time. But there we go. Slot some in there behind that Korean 737-900, so those are on their way to some other part of the airfield. And again, this is the sort of thing where I perhaps need to have more space around for the trolleys that are just kind of not in use and just waiting to be used. Haven't got a huge amount of just parking on this airfield for GSC. Let's slot some in again around the back of this A321. So the idea here is just to gradually build up your GSC, layer it on really, so that when you then undertake your videoing or your photography, then the airfield looks, lived in and, active. Also, we've got some of the other types of baggage trucks for containers that you saw in the cargo video if you were watching that. So for larger wide body aircraft like this 777, obviously they will take containerized cargo in the underbelly there. So got a couple of those as well in white, but they come in a variety of colors. So you've got quite a lot of flexibility when you order from AvGeek as to what it is you're actually getting color wise. And a few parked over there in between the gates. And we'll move across to the other side of the pier where you've got this Etihad A340-600 and the China Southern A380, and slot a couple of baggage trains in there as well. And this kind of GC, it does help to show the scale of these wide bodies, if having an ATR part next to an A380 didn't already do that for you. So really liking the different sizing that you're getting here. A couple of more of the containerized versions going on there with the smaller containers. And back over to the Air China side of the terminal, slot a couple of Airstairs against this A320, which doesn't have an air bridge fitted to it, and slip in a few more of the baggage trains as well. Okay, next up we've got some emergency style vehicles. We've got some little white airfield security cars or police cars perhaps, and on the right we've got some ambulances and some little yellow doctory style vehicles. So again, let's pretend this is Etihad A340, perhaps needs a bit more security than the Chinese airliners at the airport, so perhaps a couple of airfield security vehicles parked there, maybe had some premium passengers on it, some state related passengers, don't know. And you can even start modeling in perhaps some kind of storyline here. I've seen some really good Instagram work by various people where they actually make storylines using their model airports, and having this kind of range of vehicles and things enables you to enact activities like perhaps an emergency event happening. Who knows what's gone on this China Southern A321? Someone's fallen down the steps or something, needs an ambulance. I don't know. But it just adds a bit of colour to your whole model. And of course, what is missing is once again the people, and AvGeek Models doesn't miss out on those as well, so you can get yourself both passengers and ground crew. As I showed last time round, I've picked up a selection of these little chaps that represent ground crew, and they're a nightmare to get focused on the camera, but they actually look really good and are surprisingly easy to actually install on your airport too. they have a little square base, and I'm actually really surprised that, given my giant fingers, that they actually stay up most of the time when I place them down. So that's actually really, really helpful. And you know, stand them around the vehicles, around the aircraft, around the jetways and stairs there, and it makes the airport, you know, really come to life. I haven't got any actual passengers, and I aren't many gates on my airport that aren't served by air bridges, to be honest. But perhaps that ATR could benefit from having, you know, some actual passenger figures. And I do believe AvGeek Models do make those. So again, there's plenty of potential here, no matter the size of your airport model, for adding some really great cost-effective GSE, which provides a lot of interest outside of just having the aircraft. So really, actually really like these little guys. Of course, the only issue is you constantly got to move them around depending on how big your airfield is and how many gates you've got and which ones are in use and so on and so forth. But that's one of the issues with having lots of GSE. It takes so long to set up the actual model to look good with them when you've got a big display like this. But yeah, I'm actually surprisingly impressed by these little personnel. I think they're actually some of my favourite parts of what I've got from AvGeek Models, and obviously some of the cheaper elements as well. So really good. So let's have a little drive-by and see how this part of the airport is looking now with the additional GSE added in. We've got the different types of Airstairs, emergency vehicles. We've got the little refueling trucks, the sanitation sewage trucks. We've got the airport staff and plenty of cargo tugs and dollies, with a few containers here and there. And I really like the way this is looking. Now, I've just set this up very quickly, and I'm sure that if I gave it a bit more thought, then I could do a better job. And to be honest, even this layout probably needs quite a lot more GSE to be vaguely accurate in terms of what a real airport looks like. But I'm really liking the look and feel of this, and I don't think the AvGeek Models GSE detracts from the aircraft models in any way. I think they go really well together. And yeah, I think this is definitely the right way to go for ground service equipment for my airport, because I do need quite a large amount of it to make the airport look vaguely realistic, and I don't want to bankrupt myself. So AvGeek Models definitely producing some really good quality ground service equipment, and I'm really liking the look of the way this has turned out, just with a relatively quick setup here. Okay, now got some more AvGeek GSE to look at as well, and they're producing a really quite interesting range of different vehicles and items nowadays. And something that was really cool that I saw were these little tractors that they set up. Now, there's quite a lot of faux grass on my airport, as you can see, and so you can use these tractors with or without the mowing elements to, you know, add just a bit of character to a part of the airport that perhaps you would usually just ignore, you know, just the grass. I think these look really nice, with good detailing considering the size and, again, how much they're costing. And here we've got them set up on one of the grass elements, aircraft operations happening around them, but they're making sure that the airport looks neat and tidy. And got two of them mowing the grass. Not quite sure what the other two are doing, to be honest, but really liking, again, a way to add some extra detail inexpensively to a part of your airport which you probably have largely ignored historically in the past, because you need to have some grassy areas, but they don't really do much for you. So here again, got that tractor doing a bit of mowing alongside the pier here. Even more interesting is AvGeek have also created a range of building related vehicles as well, of which I've got three types available here. We've got these big cranes, we've got a front loading digger, and we've got the excavator. And these are probably the largest or GSE I've got from AvGeek Models, but they look, you know, even better than some of the small stuff. I'm really liking the detailing on these pair of cranes that I've got here. Now, I actually have got some work going on at other part of the airport which is still under construction, is why you're not seeing the left of the model at the moment. But I'm going to try and set these up somewhere else on the airfield. And again, this is the sort of thing that lets your imagination kind of run wild. Now, I do know that, again, that AvGeek produced these in different colours. You can get some military green versions of these. And also they've got some other construction vehicles as well. I believe they've got cement trucks, for example. And I think there's a kind of big forklifty diggery thing too. But these are probably some of my favourites. They're really sweet little vehicles. And again, a good level of detail for the price. And they look really nice considering how small they really are. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get these in place in a part of my airport which is having some work done, and that is going to be this gate here. Now, these little yellow barriers, again, are from AvGeek Models. I had these already, and so I'm going to use those to close off this gate here for construction work, and then we can add in the construction vehicles to that area. And we'll start by adding in the crane. So perhaps what we're going to have here is that the crane is going to be used to maybe do some work on the jetway itself, maybe lift that jetway off, and then we've got some excavators. Perhaps they're going to be digging out some of that tarmac area. Should have got some of the little cement trucks, to be honest. But again, really liking the extra detail that you can quickly add here with these, and they look really nice, and they go very well with the jetways and the terminal and the aircraft operations that are going around them. And of course, you can use your little chappies as well to double as construction workers, and again adds a nice little bit of personnel detail to your airport. So again, if you're telling stories with your airfield model here, then these sort of construction vehicles, tractors and such, emergency vehicles, they really add that a kind of extra element to enable you to tell some good narratives. Okay, and there we have it set up now with the crane in place and some digger activity. And I'm sure if I put a bit more effort into this, then I could make this look even better and make it look very much like part of the airport was being worked on and being constructed or repaired. So it just adds that extra little bit of detail to the overall look of your airport model. Okay guys, well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at some of the extra ground service equipment that I've been able to pick up from AvGeek Models. Matt at AvGeek has been a great guy to work with. He really helped me with the monorail, which you see in the background, which was partly customized just for my airfield model here. And I'm really enjoying adding the different vehicles and equipment that he's produced. Now, he's produced quite a lot more equipment than I've purchased from him. He's got various types of American trucks and buses and such, which don't necessarily fit with my airport model, but might be great for yours. So check out his eBay shop. And don't forget to use the discount code yesterday10 for 10% off your order. But we're going to be doing some more of these Xin Long videos, getting back to new model editions in the next few weeks. But I hope you enjoyed this look around and hope it's given you some ideas for how you can enrich your airport models and make them look better with adding in ground service equipment. I think it does make a massive difference, no matter how big or small your airport model is. Okay guys, well that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the content. But from yesterday's airlines, it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye.